Welcome back to Fact, Opinion, Truth. You know, as American, the power to choose and being able to be free to choose is what makes America amazing. You know, it's why people come here in the first place, and it's why we stay here. We've kind of lost the power of choice through the pandemic, the closures, and the process of reopening. Like, people want transparency, right? They want to be told the truth. They want to know what's going on, you know, and that feeds into a lot of anxieties. People need to be well informed and educated to be able to make decisions. Once we're able to be well informed and educated, the choice should then become ours. For example, with schools reopening. Now, I don't have kids, so feel free to, you know, hate on me for even trying to decipher this process. But here's my thought. Instead of, again, I'm in New Jersey, so instead of Governor Murphy mandating whether schools can or cannot reopen, it should be a freedom of choice. Put out all the information. Put out the facts that have been checked and rechecked, but also facts that show both sides of the stories. You can't shut people down when they have thoughts or experiences that lead them to a truth that is different from your own. It has to be considered as a possibility until proven otherwise. And not enough time has passed within COVID to even know what is true or what is not true, but you have to put out what you currently know. Schools should be open in September. There should be contingency for kids who would like to go to school and kids who would not like to go to school, for parents that are comfortable sending their kids and parents that are not comfortable sending the kids. And the same for the teachers and the administrators that have to go into the building. There should be a virtual option as well as an in-person option. It shouldn't be that difficult in this day and age for a classroom to get a large digital display that could be in the back of the classroom that the teacher can see, that can have virtual students on those monitors. So it's as if they were in the classroom. The classroom can be open for kids to be sent if their parents would like them to physically go to school, or if they have no other option. Parents are working jobs that don't have the ability to let the parent work at home or to take time off to be able to homeschool them. They can choose to bring their kid to school. And for the teachers as well, half the teachers are going to want to go to class and half the teachers are not going to be comfortable, because it's just the way human nature is, one way or the other. There's going to be people on both sides. You have to keep the options open for both. You can't force people to be virtual. You can't force people to go to school. So if you open schools, ask your teachers and administrators who's willing to come into school and who's willing to work virtually. You can then create a plan to accommodate both, so kids who are at home and who are at school get the same education. Yes, when kids don't physically go to school, there is a social aspect that kids do need to learn that is going to be very difficult and can have a significant impact on their development if they're not socially acclimated. But as the parent, that is your choice. As long as the information is out there that your actions have consequences, and those consequences are A, B, and C, the parent should be able to decide which action versus consequence is worth it. What's the risk reward, and which direction do you want to go? For a teacher, for example, if I was a teacher and I said, I am comfortable going to school to teach with these kids. The kids are 6 feet apart while they're sitting at their desks within the classroom to allow for a transitional period back to what we would consider normal. Yes, this creates a separation between parents, children, and teachers, but it's the option of choice here that is important. So if I'm a parent and I decide that I don't want my kid to go to school because he has a low immune system, or you're just not comfortable with the classroom style right now, you want another year to figure out what is going on. It takes time, and I understand that. And the information can change, because the longer you research something, new things do arise and changes are made. But as long as those changes are communicated, then the choice is ours. So if I own a business, it's my choice to open. If I feel comfortable opening, or the consequences do not outweigh the risk, I'm going to open. And if I'm a customer, I understand that if I go outside, if I go inside a restaurant and I decide to sit at the bar, have a few drinks, I'm already assessed the action versus consequences. I understand that there's a possibility that I could get sick, but I also understand that there's a possibility that I can't. The person's choice has to be a risk reward. They have to understand that their actions have consequences and make those decisions based on the information that we're given. That choice is ours. The government's job is to give us the information so we can make a choice, not take all our choices away. And I feel that we should open our inside dining. We should open our bars. We should get our service people back to work. We should open businesses. Let small businesses get back on their feet if they want to. Give them the choice. If they choose to open and people choose to go there, that means that there's a population of people who are losing their freedom of choice because the options are not there. The point here is the government is supposed to give us information and options so we can choose what is right for us and best for our families. As long as we are not hurting anybody, as long as we are not intentionally hurting another living being, and our intent is to just live our life the way that we would like to. That's what America is all about. I agree with the initial pause while the CDC, the World Health Organization, and the government and the local municipalities try to figure out what they think is best for the majority. But you can't force that majority opinion upon the people. You have to give them the options. So if I'm a small business owner and I say, I need to open because I need to work. I need this. I need an income. The risk of opening versus the risk of not opening is the choice of the business owner. It should not be the choice of the government. Same with the schools. The same with amusement parks and museums. Cutting the internal capacity, I could get on board with that only because things are overly crowded to begin with. You know, there's plenty of times where I would go to like the Museum of National History, or you go to, Six Flags. I went to Universal a couple years ago. And when you try to get into places that you really want to enjoy, it's hard because people are elbows to elbows, and you can't see anything. You can't really enjoy. It's hot. Kids are screaming. So lowering a capacity, I could get on board with just because it will help the people that are there to enjoy themselves a little bit more. Do I think 25 people as a max capacity, if you have a room big enough to hold 500? No, I think that's a little ridiculous. But half, 75%, something a little less than norm because people are gross. But you have to give people the choice to open and live their lives because that's why we're here. That's why we live here. And I think it's really been a huge failure of choice. If you wear a mask, people have the option, wearing a mask. There's your consequence. You look like an idiot for a couple minutes. I look like an idiot for a couple of minutes, no big deal. But that's me. Mask. But understand that both of those actions have consequences. I'm wearing mine. 2, I'm going to keep myself 6 feet apart from you. And 3, but it still should be a choice as long as you understand the consequences of the choice. And if you're not wearing a mask and someone who is wearing a mask says something to you, just say, I respect your opinion and walk away. It's an acceptance and you move on. You don't owe people an explanation for why you are or are not wearing a mask. It's your choice. And if there's a place, let's say, I don't know, Costco seems to be a big one these days, that you can't go into without wearing a mask, which is most places around here right now. If you do not wear a mask, you're not allowed in here. If you're a person who's refusing to wear a mask, that is a consequence of your choice, that you cannot go into that place. You have made the choice. You're choosing the consequence of not being able to physically go into a store that you may or may have wanted to go. And these choices are important because they make us who we are. And neither of them are right and neither of them are wrong. They're just their own personal choice to make these choices. I think that in my experience, I understand the shutdown in March. We didn't know what we were dealing with. Now that we know what we're dealing with, we're able to handle any influx of patients, regardless of their diagnoses, that means that no one will be turned away. And that's the point, is we were seeing countries having to turn people away from getting medical attention. And we don't want that. We don't want to lose any life. I don't ever want to lose any life. There's no life that is more important than the other. Life is important and we need to protect that. But at the same time, we have to protect what makes us American. And right now we're losing so much of what makes us us. We're being divided among many different political agendas, many individual agendas. But the whole point is to give us the freedom to choose. What would you choose? And what's your truth? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next week.